Everyone, welcome back to another episode of Humans of Flippa. I am your host, Steve McGarry, and today I am joined by Sean Callaghan, and he is the owner of a company called Creator Mill. How's it going, Sean?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me, Steve.
Yeah, I'm excited to really understand your exit and your business. But before we get there, let's kind of talk about your personal journey. Like, what led you to start the business?
In high school, YouTube started to become a thing. There was no real way of sharing videos when I was in high school, like early high school. And then as, by the middle of high school, this YouTube thing came out and everybody was talking about it. Well, not everybody, but a few people were starting to talk about it. And it was a really cool new platform. And so me and a few of my friends managed to get our hands on a recording device. It was a Flip Mini at the time. And we just started making horrible videos, like really bad videos. But it got us into creating, and we did that for years throughout high school. And then in university, one of my friends started to gain some traction on his channel, and I was kind of like a guest character in his videos. And they just started to take off. At the time, taking off was like getting 20, 30,000 views in a video was like, that was mind boggling at the time. And that slowly turned into his career. And I would just feature in his videos. You couldn't even make money at the time, but it was just like a fun thing. So it didn't really turn into his career right away, but it was something he was very passionate about, and I would help him out. And then he gathered a few of our other friends, and we formed a group called Team Albo. And it was just 5 guys, and we would sit in the basement and try and eat 100 chicken nuggets as fast as we could and just do stupid stuff and kind of mess around and have a good time. And for some reason that just blew up and we started getting millions of views on his channel. And a lot of the viewers wanted all of us to make our own channels. And so we all did. And as a group, we had got all of our friends from high school basically to start making YouTube videos. There was, I think, 8 of us at our peak, and we were all making videos together. We moved into a house together, and I grew my personal channel, which was called It's Your Boy, to 2.8 million subscribers. And that was my introduction into YouTube. But that was more as like a content creator and a personality. But my background, or what I went to school for, was business, and I realized that there was a problem with my existing structure of being on camera. I couldn't really run it like a business. So about 5 years ago, I transitioned into making faceless content with the idea that the asset would actually have value outside of me and my personality. And that's what kickstarted Creator Mill as we know it today. It wasn't even called Creator Mill prior to that. So that's when I created Creator Mill and started making YouTube channels that were not predicated on my personality.
Yeah, love that. You kind of figured out how to operate it like a business and make it so that you could kind of come and go.
Yes.
I like the transition there. At what point, we were talking before we were recording, at what point did you kind of think about selling one or two of the channels? When did that come up?
Well, Nelson, one of the leads at Flippa, reached out to me a couple of years ago about one of my channels called the Tesla Space, and just inquired about selling. And until that point, I hadn't really thought about selling. I knew that the problem I had was my asset was limited by me as a personality, but I still didn't necessarily think people would want to buy the asset. I just wanted free time and to be able to go on vacation. That was really the main reason for doing it. And so, yeah, I just got an email asking if I was interested in selling my channel. And I was like, huh, that's, uh, that's kind of cool. But at the time I wasn't really ready for it yet. And so I didn't pursue it right away. Yeah. So until that point, I hadn't realized that there was an actual market for, YouTube channels. And so I started to look into it a little bit more. And then, uh, after a few years, I decided it was time to figure out if I could actually sell a channel. And so that's why I decided to list.
Nice. And I think the unique part about this is that, you hadn't really thought about selling it. You realize that there's a market. You found Flippa. What's like the actual business model of a YouTube channel for everybody that's new to a faceless model of a YouTube channel? Can you walk us through like how it operates and what that's like?
Yeah, so there's two varying approaches to faceless content, and I think faceless has gotten a bit of a bad rap over the last year or two because it's also been connected to what I would call AI slop channels, and so there's two uh, kind of versions of this, and we go much more on the high quality like documentary style faceless channel. So it's a narration, there's no face to it, but it is a different workflow than somebody who's doing the like highly automated max output approach to a YouTube channel, and both can work really really well, but there's a very different approach if you're doing faceless the way that some people might have heard of before. So I just wanted to make that distinction. And ours is we have a writer, editor. Some channels have multiple editors. And essentially, I'll work with our writing team to come up with our ideas to make sure we have proper packaging for them. And then we will write out a script. We'll review the script. I narrate a lot of the scripts. Um, no narration background. I just kind of stumbled into it because we needed somebody to voice them. And um, and then we'll pass that along to our editing team. Typically, we'll have an A-cut editor who's actually putting just kind of the bones of the video together, and then we'll have a motion graphics and sometimes a 3D specialist who kind of add the polish and extra kind of quality elements to the video to make it stand out. And then we go into thumbnail production. We'll typically get 3 to 5 different thumbnail concepts done on the first pass. Then we run A/B tests on all of our thumbnails, our titles, and we're constantly tweaking long after a video has been posted to try and maximize the viewership on them.
Cool. Very cool. And when it comes to like the milestones that you set for a couple of these different channels, I know you're selling one of the channels, but what are the milestones that you've kind of put in place as as kind of a channel operates and as it grows?
I mean, the most obvious one is like the subscriber count, but that's actually one that's kind of faded lately because subscribers are not as important as they historically were on YouTube. This is on all social platforms, so Instagram and TikTok. Followers and subscribers are becoming less important as algorithms have gotten more powerful and accurate when recommending video content to the viewers. But it's still a nice vanity metric that we always like to try and get that 100,000 subscriber goal for our channel so that we can also get the vaunted silver play button from YouTube. So at this point, we now have 6 silver play buttons and a gold play button that we've gotten over the years. So that's one that, like, personally, I always like to try and push for. But the other one is just profitability. So we try and get to that break even point within a few months to confirm that, like, okay, this is a worthwhile endeavor. Otherwise, we'll push on to a different topic or niche.
Mm, okay. And with the kind of the SEO and the growth and things like that, are there, I know there's of course kind of a proprietary blend of how you do all of the content, and the high quality aspect of it really helps. But in your experience, you have a lot of really good knowledge around YouTube. What are some like significant things that have impacted the channels? Is it the kind of that 3D person that's touching it up? Of course, you said you were A/B testing thumbnails, but what were some of the growth strategies that you found that worked?
Yeah, it's a proprietary blend, I suppose, but it's also the same approach that works for every social media and lots of businesses is just look at what's working for other people and try and do a little twist to it. That's essentially it. So one of the most effective things that we do when uh, coming up with ideas, which is really the fundamental most important part of every video, is you need a good idea, and an idea is more than just, oh, like, this will be cool content, but also what is the packaging for the idea. So the thumbnail and the title have to be thought of before you actually produce the video as well. And one of the best ways to do that is look at your own channel and see what's actually worked for you and how can you iterate on that. So if you have a title, for example, like something weird. This is on our space channel. We have something weird is happening on the moon, and there's just space. There's weird stuff all the time. So we do something weird is happening on the moon, it gets a million views. We do something weird is happening on Mars, and something weird is happening on like, and you just insert a different word, and they all fit. Like something weird is happening everywhere, so you can't just clickbait and make stuff up. But once you've identified formats that work for your audience, it's familiar, and if the last time they clicked on that video they liked the video, they're going to click on it again and they're going to watch it again. So you have to have that packaging, you have to have a good idea, and then you do have to deliver and actually give them good quality content so that every time they see your channel or your videos pop up, they're more inclined to click on them. But really the biggest thing is using the vast amount of data that's out there to understand what the audience wants as opposed to thinking you know what the audience wants, because that's the biggest pitfall I see a lot of aspiring content creators uh, run into, is they think like, oh, I have this great idea and it's so interesting and it's so great and everyone's going to want to watch it. But the truth is, if you're starting out with YouTube, with anything, you don't know anything. Like, you don't know anything about what you're doing. And there are a lot of people out there who do. So you can go reverse engineer um, video ideas, video formats. You can look at intros and see how people are structuring their intros. And you're not copying word for word, or you're not doing that kind of thing, but you're getting inspiration and you're learning what works so that you can incorporate that into your.
Cool. I like that. I like the something weird happening on the moon, something weird happening on Mars. It's just always weird stuff going on in space, so you can kind of alternate that title. With you said Nelson reached out, and with the support you've received, what are some things that kind of stand out when it comes to Flippa and how it's gone?
Very like involved. Nelson and his team have been very supportive with any questions I've had, hop on calls, discuss things, help me understand the process. But I think honestly for me, the biggest part was the valuation tool. And especially with an asset like YouTube that's relatively new to um, like this kind of like selling and buying channels. Um, I just had no idea how to value it appropriately or what the market value is, and I think it's constantly shifting. So people and entities like Flippa, who are actually actively selling or like facilitating the selling and buying of these assets, understand what they're going for, and what they're going for is what their value is. So it's really helpful to have some level of confidence in like, okay, this is what this is worth versus this is what this is worth, because you can't really compare a YouTube channel to like a SaaS company or an e-commerce company. Like, they're very different. So the same multipliers don't necessarily apply. And so, yeah, it was really helpful to just kind of understand what these assets that I've built up were worth, and nice personally to know, okay, cool, this is actually worth something, as opposed to just like, I think it's worth this. Um, so that's what really stood out for me.
Nice. And how do you prepare a YouTube channel for sale? Like what's the process? Do you put together, standard operating procedure documents? How are you preparing?
It's interesting because the channel we're trying to sell is actually, it's inactive right now. So we're selling like the subscriber base, we're selling the library of content. So it's a little different than if I were to be selling an active channel. In which case, yeah, I think we would have to have a lot more documentation on what to do, and the process would be much more difficult. But in this case, it's kind of like, hey, here's the asset. You can take it and you can do whatever you want with it. If you want to continue making content like we had been making in the past, you can. Um, but it's a relatively blank slate. So in that case, it's a little bit easier for me, which is nice.
Okay. And then when it came to like the actual like broker throughout the process, what was the role? Like, was it just you said you got a lot of questions answered, but how does a broker interact with a YouTube channel other than the valuation?
Well, they let me know what information that I need to provide to help sellers understand the value of the asset. So I was kind of uncertain about what they needed besides, here's how much money it makes, and you connect the AdSense and you can see, and they help me, that you get sheets to break down your actual profit, and help anyone who's considering purchasing the asset to understand the true value of it, and validate the value of it as well. Um, So it was just kind of understanding the different things I can do to optimize the listing for sale, which I would have had no idea about
Yeah.
on my own.
Okay. And then timeline, like how long did it take you to get the listing live? How long has it been live? How many buyers are you talking to?
Took not long to get the listing live, like maybe a day. I feel like I put it up and then there was a little bit of a verification process. It was a few months ago, so I don't remember exactly. But it was not long at all. It was very easy to get set up. Um, and it's been live for a few months. We've got a couple offers, but nothing that I'm like, we're kind of in the middle of discussions, but I think I'm gonna probably wait a little bit longer. The problem that we ran into is hockey is very seasonal, and when we listed the channel, it was during the off season, which is not a great time to sell. I learned, so I wanted to wait until the season picked up, and which it's now kind of like in the middle of the season now. So as interest in the topic starts to build, it's probably a better time to sell. So for anyone who's trying to sell another YouTube channel, I would definitely advise waiting until like if it's seasonal, especially waiting until that season has arrived, so that the um, because the potential buyer might not understand the industry the same way that you do, and when they see that the graphs are going back up and there's green arrows and more money is being generated, it's a lot easier to justify an ask that you might have.
Hmm. And it's a good segue into buyers. Like when it comes to picking a buyer, who's the ideal buyer for something like this, and what do you prioritize?
In this case, I think the ideal buyer would probably be someone who's already operating a YouTube channel and understands how to do so, or someone who's very passionate and interested in the specific topic and is looking to get a head start. So, like getting a channel off the ground is often harder than continuing a channel that's already been doing well, because getting that initial momentum is very difficult, and YouTube is a lot of momentum. Once viewers identify they like your content, once YouTube understands who that audience is, it's much easier for them to quickly identify the audience. And when you post a video, send that video to the audience for them to engage with. And at the beginning, YouTube doesn't really know, so it takes a little while for it to understand. Sometimes it can happen very quickly, but sometimes it takes time, and so in this case, it helps them skip that like initial 2 to 3 month phase of trying to get something up and running when it's making no money and you're just kind of burning cash to try and um, uh, figure out what you have. So it would be somebody who's either looking to skip that step or somebody who already has a team in place to kind of hit the ground running.
And for entrepreneurs listening or people that are, running YouTube channels, let's say, what are some lessons that you learned that they could benefit from?
Two things. One is if you're doing a channel where you're a personality, I would highly recommend doing it with other people who have the same goals. It can be difficult to find, but like look for creator communities in your city and try and find other people that you can make content with. That was really a superpower that we had that I didn't even realize at the time when we first started, but having 8 people all running our own YouTube channels, all featuring in each other's videos and sending each other to like sending their audience to my video, me sending it to their video, and creating this loop, an ecosystem around our content was incredibly helpful, because once one person came in, they would find like, oh, there's 8 guys that I can watch their videos, and they're all somewhat similar, but they each have their own flavor, and also you have 8 characters that you can feature in your videos, and you're going to help them, they're going to help you. So it really creates a good environment for content creation. So whether you're doing short form, long form, anything like that, that's lifestyle, if you can find at least a couple other people who are doing something similar, I think that's going to help you a lot with not only the content itself, but once one person figures out a little hack here and there, you can kind of share that information. And then when it comes to and that's the same for, honestly, probably any business, like finding other people who are doing similar things is very helpful. Um, but then when it comes to the faceless style, I think, and again, any style, it's really do the research. Like, spend the time thinking about your ideas and understanding what's working. Um, and it might feel like the unsexy thing to do, and you want to just get into making the video, but it's what's going to drive success and get you where you want to go. So just studying both within your niche and then also outside your niche to get inspiration from what other people are doing, and then using that, like what I say a lot of the times when it comes to content creation is you have to consume in order to create. And there is a fine line. And I think most people consume way too much, especially nowadays with how easy it is to consume content. But you do need to consume in order to understand what is good. Like, you can't just do a drawing if you've never seen a drawing before. It's going to be very hard to do. So stand on the shoulders of other giants and like understand what they're doing and incorporate that into what you're doing, would be my like main lesson. And that's, we've done short form content. For another thing we do is we work with small businesses in our city, and the same principles we've applied from YouTube work on Instagram, they work on TikTok. So whatever form of content somebody's trying to make, there is an example out there that you can use as a format for the specific topic you're doing.
Mm, I like that. You got to consume in order to create, because you got to see what works. That's really well said. So the kind of emotional side of this, when it came time to sell the hockey channel, what was like that emotional experience like for you when you're deciding that it's time to offload this one, maybe another one? What what kind of signaled that it was time?
Uh, Honestly, I probably ignored the signals at first. Um, but we just got really busy and we had too many different projects going on, and so we were trying to balance everything at once, when in reality it would have been probably a good idea to sell sooner. The asset would have been more valuable at that time, and that's happened a couple times where it's easy to think when things are really good, like, oh, they're going to keep going well and things are going to be great. But if you don't have the time to continue to devote to that project, chances are, one, somebody else probably does and can turn that project into what it should be and what it can be. But also, if you're not devoting the time to it, it's going to slow down. You're going to lose that momentum that I talked about earlier. So it wasn't as hard to sell because I realized I should have sold earlier or tried to sell earlier. And I think, uh, in hindsight, the what I wish I had done is thought about it a little bit harder when Nelson had first reached out. And even though things were really good, thought about, like, is this something that we're going to be able to continue to devote the necessary amount of time to? And instead of having those like rose colored glasses on and thinking everything's just going to be perfect all the time. And if I had been more honest with myself, I probably would have been able to find somebody who is in a better position to operate that channel earlier on, and would have been better for both parties.
Yeah.
But it's
And
tough. It is tough. You know, I think it's easier said than done to know when the right time is to sell. Um, but because everyone always wants to get the most out of the asset, they want to sell it for the max price you possibly can. And you see it with stock market and crypto and everything all the time too, where everyone's trying to wait for the peak. And you can spend a lot of time waiting for the peak and miss a really good time to sell, just because you think it could be a little bit more valuable down the road.
mhm. And with somebody listening to this, like a creator, it's an entrepreneur, what advice would you give them based off this whole experience of, building the channel, having Nelson reach out? What kind of advice would you share?
For me, I like to create different stuff. I have, I don't know if it's like, I get bored sometimes. And so I just be honest with yourself. Like, are you going to get bored of the thing you're doing? And if you are, and you're going to start to lose interest, then I think, uh, that's okay. It's okay to want to move on to some new project. And one of the things that I've learned is actually every time we've started a new project, it's typically been better than the previous project. So freeing up time by, um, whether it's moving on from the asset in terms of actually selling it, or maybe just like getting on to the next project a little bit sooner can be really helpful. Like sometimes trying to fix something that's kind of good but not great is harder than just starting something from scratch with all of the knowledge that you've now acquired from the previous run. So if you're thinking about it, I would just suggest trying it and seeing what happens. See if you can get an offer that you're comfortable with, and the thing that people forget about is once you sell an asset, you still take all of the information and the knowledge that you've developed when you built that asset. So whatever the thing is you're going to build next, it's probably going to be better than the last thing you just built because you're not the same person who built the first thing.
And that is actually a fantastic segue into what's next. After the sale, what's next for you? Are you working on a new venture? You just said you like to build things. I do as well. That's like part of this whole show is builders. So what's next for you?
Honestly, we're just trying to continue scaling our YouTube channels. So we're trying to build more. My goal is to get 10 YouTube channels with over 100,000 subscribers. I want to have 10 silver play buttons in the studio, and I know it's a vanity thing, but I just think it would be cool to have 10. So that's our goal, is to just keep doing what we're doing, keep incorporating all of those lessons we've learned, and trying to find new niches that are maybe a little like are ripe for opportunity. So yeah, just keep doing that basically.
Nice. And you mentioned the vanity metric. So has your definition of success changed?
Oh yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's changed. Before, like when I started, it was just views, subscribers, and money. That was the three things, and those are still obviously very important metrics. Um, but there is a big one that's pushed to the top, and that's like, for lack of a better word, just like um, balance. It's like, okay, I want to push and I want to get all those things, but also I don't want to burn out doing it. And I've found that once I stopped white knuckling everything and just trying to force everything to happen, things actually happen at the same pace, sometimes faster, and you're way more energized to continue doing that. Trying to continue pushing for all those, some vanity, some real, like valuable metrics that are important, especially in this industry, but to do it with balance and longevity in mind.
Very well said, well articulated. So the last question is, would you consider selling a channel again in the future?
Definitely, I hope to sell many more.
Right on. Right on. Well, where can people find you?
If you want to follow me personally, I'm on Instagram. It's your boy is still my old handle from back in the day. ITSYEBOI. You can follow Creator Mill, creator.mill on Instagram. You can check out our website. We do also help aspiring content creators who are looking to grow their channel or start a channel with that process too. So yeah, they can reach out through any of those platforms.
Cool. Well, wherever you guys are listening on iTunes or Spotify or YouTube, the links that Sean mentioned will be in the notes. And thank you so much for coming on Humans of Flippa, Sean.
Thanks for having me, Steve.